I have been playing with my decorating for my junk journal, like paper clipping things throughout that I think I want in certain areas. And I also went to, on my computer, I have a lot of folders of scanned family vintage photos that are from my family. And so I print them up on copy paper, and then I cut them out and glued them to the parchment cardstock from Country Craft Creations, and then cut them out again to give them so they're not flimsy like copy paper. And I'm going to be using family photos throughout this junk journal. I just think it's a really special way to do it. And if you have vintage family photos, and they're not going to be in order by dates or anything, I'm just using them as I like to use them. So this is going to be on the first page, this one here. I just want to share with you how to print them. And the great thing about it, you can use Word on your computer and put several on a sheet and resize them any size you want, and then print out a whole sheet of photos and then cut them all out. It's kind of like playing with paper dolls, but it's family, people you know. This is my Uncle Lakin and his first wife, Lucille. And I just love this because it's obviously a very large portrait, probably their wedding picture, I would imagine, and it was in a frame. So the frame is captured in that. So we're going to turn to the front inside. Now, when I arranged my pages, I didn't notice that I had used the same paper on the first page that's on the cover. And I'm kind of like, oh, I'm not too happy with that. But I'm going to use this big picture here, and that is going to change it up, I think. It's going to change the looks of it, kind of like an intro to it. I love it with this part. So I'm going to glue this down onto my page. And with all the stuff in my book that I have clipped in, the pages are kind of sticking up funny, but it's going to be okay. I can work with it. Make sure I have plenty of glue on it though. Now we're going to position this kind of in the center, about right there. Scoot over a little bit, kind of get it straight. So like that on there, like that. So that looks really good on that front page. Just kind of personalizes it, add to it. And then I think I'm going to add some pearls, some flat back pearls. And put one here and one on the bottom for sure. So I have them right here. I've got strings and things everywhere. I'm going to have to stop and clean up. So I'm going to grab a couple of pearls here. And I like to glue them instead of relying on the sticky that's on them. So I pull it off the sticky and then I put them down into the glue. And another one. I'm just grabbing them with my scissors down here. You can't see that, but I'm pulling it up off of the sticky and holding it with my scissors. I do better with scissors than I do with tweezers. I don't know why. Okay, there we go. I'll wipe a little glue off right there. And I think because of the gold over here, I'm going to put some on the sides there as well. So one on each side. So sometimes your decorating is just real simple. You just use the patterned paper behind it and add something like this photo. And a few little bling. Got a lot of glue there to wipe off. It will dry clear, but I don't like to leave a whole lot of glue. So I just clean it off with my scissors. And one more pearl. I'm stuck to a bunch of adhesive. I'm going to try to do it with my fingers instead of my scissors and see what I can do here. Probably not very good. There we go. Okay, so there's that. For the first page, I may come back and add, you know, something else in here, like a saying or something. Maybe one of these little words, handwritten memories, treasured moments. I'm going to do treasured moments. I'm going to just cut this out with my scissors. This comes off the, out of the collection kit from Country Craft Creations. So I'm going to put it here in with this heart. And then I noticed that this heart has some pearls on it, but you know what? I'm going to add real pearls on top of those, just to dress it up. So I'll put treasured moments right there, kind of into that heart. And then I'm going to add, see those 2 pearls there? I'm going to put 2 real ones on top. Actually, there's 3 pearls there, I think. Yep, there's one here, and one here. Okay. We'll get those on. One. That one didn't want to come off. 2, and the third one. Okay, so there it is. We've got the pearls on the frame, and then the 3 little pearls down here that are in the printed in image. And I'm looking to see, that could be one right there, but I'm not going to put that one on there. So that is page 1, the first opposite the cover. And then while I'm here, I know for sure that I'm going to put ribbon around. And I'm going to, I have this that came from Country Craft Creations. This is a Prima ribbon. I know for sure I'm going to put this one on, I believe. And I just want to lay it in there, bring it around the front of the cover, and tie it on the spine. So I'm just keeping it straight right there, bring it up to here. And I'm just, so whatever ribbon you have, you can have wide ribbon or some lace. And I'm not, this may not be all that I, of course, I will put on there. I just want to show you where you can put your ribbons. And so this is the first piece that I'm putting on, and I am just tying it on right now. And I'm not tying it into a bow. I'm just going to tie it into a knot. So I can untie it probably and adjust it if I need to. But for now, that's what I'm going to have on there, because I will be adding more in there. And I'm not going to cut any of the ends yet. But there it is here on the front. Inside here, and of course, since I will be putting others in, I'm not going to attach this down just yet. So I just have it in here like that. And now we're ready to move on to the next page. Now, some of these pages, I'm going to leave them just the print, because I think they're really, really pretty. And so for this side here, I have I've planned a pocket and some elements. So let me get my paper clips off. Now then, let's see if that's holding something. Okay. So for this page on the solid pink, I'm going to make a pocket out of a piece of the patterned paper. And you just select whichever one you want. And this one is the full 8.5, but I trimmed it down to 4 3/4. Then I folded it up. You do not have to use a scoreboard, but I folded it up 2 3/4. Folded it here, and then I folded the corner under, and that makes an angle pocket like that. So I'm going to take, I don't have to glue this down unless I just want to, but I'm just going to put glue along this one edge. That. And then I'm going to ink it some. So I'm going to find my ink. And I'm using the Spiced Catherine Pooler. I can't even say it. Hope I didn't say that bad. Pooler. Catherine Pooler in the spice color. So I'm going to ink the edges of my pocket. And again, I like to use the brush because it doesn't put a whole lot on there, and I can actually go over it quite, several times if I want to, and get some ink on it. And like, I'll show you, I can even go in with the brush and add a little bit of ink on the paper just to bring that color in. Okay, now then, this pocket I'm going to glue about, I'm going to turn this paper clip about right here. Now then, you can make the pocket an actual pocket by just gluing the sides and the bottom. So I'm going to do that in case I want to do that. Make it a tuck spot. Right now I don't have anything planned to tuck into it, but that doesn't mean I won't come back later. Tuck a letter or something like that in there. So just going to eyeball it and put it right about there. Make sure it burnishes down and sticks along the bottom and the sides. Okay, so I have another photo here from my family collection, and this one is my dad and my uncle, his youngest brother. They were dressing up as cowboys for some reason. I don't know if I ever heard the reason why, or they both look like they got on almost matching vests and hats. But they probably were working. They did work a lot with cattle and stuff, so that would not surprise me at all. Now, to bring in that color in that picture a little bit, I'm going to just lightly brush it with this brush. Get some of that same color, sepia looking spice color in there. And that's going to tuck into that pocket for sure. There's going to be other elements that go in there. Like I have here a receipt that I put some of my faux Scotch tape on. I can just tuck that in behind there for now, just for added looks. Now then, I also want to add just a little bit of color. And this is a scrap off the paper. I'm just straightening it up a little bit. That was just, I keep all the little paper scraps because you never know when you're going to need to use them. And you just want a little pop of color on this. A little bit. So I'm going to glue that on. Little lettering on it. And then I have this fussy cut heart key. I thought that was kind of pretty. I'm going to put that right there. This is from the ephemera from the collection. I cut this out, fussy cut it out. I'm just going to kind of lay that over that for now. So there's that page. It's pretty simple. Like I said, I will tuck something in here at the top. I don't know if I have anything right now I could tuck in there. I could make a tag out of this, one of these. I'm going to fold that in half. So this is a strip that is 3.5 by the 12, and I'm folding it in half. Line up the ends to match and burnish that fold. That, and then I'm going to separately round the bottom corners with the 10 millimeter. So this would be a great place for adding photos to inside the tag. And then, let me see. Okay, so I think I like one of these. But I'm not going to glue it over the fold. I'm just going to glue it on one side. So I'm folding these in half. These come with the ephemera page where you fussy cut it out. And I'm just going to fussy cut the one side here. Make it even on the bottom. Now this is the side that I want on the front, so I'm going to have it sticking over on the back. I'm going to glue the two together. That string is hanging around. So put glue on that, glue them together, and I am going to ink them. And then on this one side, I'm just going to glue the front of this one. So I put glue on just the bottom here. So I wanted the back finished as well. I didn't want to leave it white, so that's why I folded it like that. Okay, so now we have a tab for that. And we can add paper to it if we want. For right now, I'm just going to tuck it into that pocket right there like that. Let it peek out like that. And I like how that looks. Little glue right here on my heart. And I'm just thinking that I might add, I'm going to add a pearl right here on this bow. I've got the pearls theme going on. Right there. Just real simple, real easy right there. And I think I'm going to take a piece of my tape that I've already made, that I showed you how to make. And I'm just going to tape my tab on like that. Okay, so that is that page. So we'll continue on to the next one. And I have this sheet of this big piece of lace. I love lace, and I think this is going to be really pretty. So we're going to have to glue this down onto the page, and I do use art glitter glue for all my gluing. So on my mat here, let me get some room, and all my elements are there. I'm going to start putting glue around the edges on the thicker part of it, and in the flowers I'm just kind of dotting it along as I go. I'm trying to be as quick as I can because art glitter glue will dry, especially the perimeter. I'm getting all of that on there. I have used the Fabri-Tac. I don't use it enough to keep it. It's thick and gumpy, and it kind of turns to rubber on me. I don't know if it's me or what the deal is. So I don't use it very often. It's kind of a waste of my money if I don't use it all right away. But I may pick some up and give it another try, since I have a lot of lace on this junk journaling to do. So I'm just getting it all in the flowers and stuff where I can. Okay, now I'm ready to put it on the page. I'm going to carefully pick it up. And I'm going to have to wipe all that off. I've got some water here. Didn't think about that. It went through. Grab me a paper towel or something. I don't have any baby wipes handy. Or that would use that. That would be really good. Okay, so we'll just wipe that off with the water. It's water-based, so it comes right off. Probably needed wipe down anyway with my ink that I use. Okay, still got this. Now we're ready to, I'm going to stand up here and position it onto the page, kind of center it at the bottom and the top here. Side to side is where I'm centering it. And then I'm going to take my fingers and carefully just press down. I'm going to have to let this dry. You're going to have to let it dry before ever closing your page. But I really love how that looks on there. And the lace here in this picture on the paper. Then once it dries, if you have any loose down here on the bottom, you can go ahead and, you know, snip that off with your scissors. So let's let that dry for a bit. But it is so pretty. And if you didn't do anything else, that is just so pretty on that page. Okay, so while this is drying, I'm going to go ahead and show you what I'm going to do for a pocket. Now this I already had in my stash. It was already folded up. But I can carefully show you a little bit how it's done. So it is a page out of a book. Okay. And you fold the top two corners down to make a point at the top. So that's the page like that, right? Then you're going to fold the side down like a 1/2 inch on each side, like for a pocket. And then we're going to bring this up, fold it in half. We've got it right there. Fold it in half. And when you do that, then put some glue here on the side, on one side of your flaps to seal that up. Just like that. Then I'm going to turn and I'm going to put this, because this is the lettering correct this way. And I bring this point up, and that's the lettering correct that way. And then I've got this angle here where I fold this on the bottom, and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue in that point. Bring that up, and I have two little angle pockets, and I also have a pocket up here when I glue it to the lace page. And that's going to go right there. Now if you want to ink it some after you've got it folded, you can. Do that real quick. Just to give it a little, not a whole bunch. I don't want to hold like a lot of dark on it. Just a little bit. Okay. So we don't have to worry about the other side because that's going to be part of it glued down. So this is where this is going to go on this lace page. Right here. So I'm going to put glue on the two sides. Good amount of glue because it's got to go on the lace. In here and across the bottom. Then we're going to glue it down, center it. I did it about 1 inch from the bottom and burnish it down. And give it a chance to dry, get glued down on that lace. Okay, so while that's drying, I had this cut apart. And these roses and a little butterfly from the ephemera sheets. Love this little envelope with the roses. And I was going to tuck that in. I'm not going to glue it, I'm just going to tuck it. So I do want to ink the back a little bit so it's not white. Get some ink on there. then you could, like, you know, journal on the back of that if you want to. So I'm just going to tuck that in right there. And then the roses, I'm going to glue them to this center point. I'm just deciding, do I want my leaves down? I think I do. So the glue on that. Leaves pointing down like that. Not over the little pocket edge here, just right there. And then we have a butterfly. And I'm just going to put glue on the center, a good dot of glue there. And then I'm going to stick it right here. And then I'm going to let the wings kind of look like they're sticking up like that. Now then, for the inside of that, I have a picture of my Aunt Annie when she was a young lady. And again, that's just a copy of her photo, and I sized it down real small, and then I glued it to the piece of the parchment, and that's going to tuck in on that side. And then we have a little tag from the ephemera, and it has a tiniest place for a hole, and I'm going to do the back of it too. So I'm just going to use something here on my desk to poke the hole. I think it's going to be pretty hard to get a thread through there unless I use a needle, which I probably will do. Let me make that hole there. Maybe I can get the real thin thread in there. Let's see what I've got here. I've got this twine, jute twine. And I'm just going to thread it through. Yeah, it went right through. Actually, I'm going to loop it. Poke, if I can, poke the loop through the hole. May not go through that way. We'll see. It's kind of silly to take so much time for something so tiny, huh? Nope, we're just going to thread it through and tie it. Because I had it in there once. So we bring it up and we're going to tie it at the top. I'm going to make 2 knots. And then I like to line them up and then tie another knot further away. And then trim the ends above that knot, just like that. And so there's a little tag there that can go in behind my ants or behind the envelope, either one, like that. And then behind the big part, we've got this and this. This is a layaway ticket. Had in my stash, a blank one I had picked up somewhere. I don't, you know, antique estate sale or something. I don't remember. So if you have something like that, you can use that. You don't have to leave it just for that. You can put some of your paper scraps on it if you want. Like that. So I inked it some. I'm going to ink this one. This is from the Elements to the Collection, so I cut this out. I need to punch the hole. I'm going to ink the back. vintagey looking on the back. Okay, so that's going to go in there. I need to put a ribbon in there, so let me find the ribbon that I want, and I'll be right back. Okay, so for this layaway tag, I have taken a scrap of the paper I had laying here on my desk, tore it on the side, inked it some, and just glued it on. And I'm going to tie this string up here like I did the other tag. Put a knot away from the main part of it, or try to. Let's see here. It's a very soft string. There we go. And then I'm just going to cut this off close to the knot so it's not as long. But then I decided I want a bit of lace up in here, so I took just a little scrap of lace, about 1.5 inches, maybe 1.5 inches long, and tied right here with string, the same string. And I'm going to glue that right there where it says layaway. I'm just going to kind of like a little bouquet lace thing there. And if you have to, use a clip to hold it in place to let it dry. And then from my stash, I have a little key charm. So any little charms that you have, you can add in. And then I have this charm clip pin. It's like a safety pin, but it has a rounded thing. And I'm going to try to pin that. I find these aren't very sharp as far as going through fabric. So that's why I said try. There we go. A regular safety pin works great, but I like that little rounded thing on the bottom there. So I have several of these in my stash. Then you just clip it closed, and then I'm going to have to put more glue on my lace here. I'm getting my my key to hang down. So I put glue back here and attach my lace. Okay, then that goes in this part of the pocket up here. Oh, and this string is too white for me, just way too white. So I brush some ink on it and I take care of that. And you can do that to your lace too if you want a little more vintagey look on your lace. Well, you just put a little ink on it. Okay, now that goes in there. Of course, I didn't ink this lace. It's white, but that's fine. So that goes like that. We have a little key charm. Then we have this one, and I still haven't found the ribbon for that. And I'll punch a hole in this and find some ribbon, seam binding ribbon, probably in a pink color that I want to use. Okay, so I decided on burgundy because that's what's on the card. So I've cut off about 11 inches or so, and I'm going to fold it in half and thread it through the hole. And then once you get your loop, reach in and grab the two tails and then gently pull, because if you pull too hard you can tear your paper. So just pull the two tails so it forms that nice finish there. And then I like to tie a knot on each end because the seam binding will ravel. So tie a knot on each end. That will prevent it from raveling all the way up to all the way through. And then you can just trim off that little bit on the end, make it even, and then that can fray just fine. So there's that. And of course you can crinkle it up some. I'm not going to crinkle a whole bunch, just a little bit. And then that tucks in like that on your back behind there, and the lace is all dried. And like you can see here that there's a little bit you want to trim off, just a little thread. You can, it's not much there. Love how that turned out. That's a beautiful page in honor of my Aunt Annie. Okay, so we'll keep moving on. The next page we're going to work on is this one here. I've got it kind of laid out, so I'm going to take everything off and forget what I was doing. But we'll work on that next. So I have all the pieces here ready for the back side. And like I said, this one here I'm going to leave plain. I love the music sheet here. I'm going to leave all that plain. And I'm just going to flip it over, and this is where we're at. So let me clip this so we can work on it. I have some neat brass hand clips coming that I ordered. I've been wanting them for my junk journals, and I just kept putting it off. So I finally broke down and bought me some as a treat. So we'll be having those in the video shortly, but any kind of clip, these work fine that you have will work great. So this is the next one we'll work on. So for this page, I'm going to make a long side pocket using the paper from the collection. Now don't be afraid to tear your papers and use parts of it, and of course save all the pieces that you have so that you can use it in different places. But anyway, this is of course the height of the page, and I just tore it here where you see the rose and the little journaling here. And then of course I inked the edges with the spiced Catherine Pooler ink from Country Craft Creations. And I have my art glitter glue, and I'm going to glue it on the two short ends and across the edge, the bottom edge out here on the page. So on this side pocket, you glue the two short ends and then the edge, the bottom edge here, leaving this part open. Okay, so I've already done that on this one. And then what I did is I punched out a circle, a 2-inch circle here, and then I cut a small square with the heart, and I just tore some of the music paper from the collection, from the Petals and Letters, inked it all. Actually, I punched 2 circles of the same paper, the pink with the lettering, and I inked those. So I glued a circle here, then a photo of my dad, the little music scrap, the little heart scrap, then another circle, then a photo of my mom. And then I fussy cut out one of the hearts from the collection and glued that here. So that finished off that pocket. It's a real simple, easy way to do a pocket. It's like a scrap of the paper that's about whatever you have. This one is about 2 1/4 inches wide in the widest part. And then inside here, I had this in my stash from another scrap of paper that I just folded up some paper, tied it with some jute twine, and put an ink stain on it with a stencil that I have. I will show you in just a bit how to use the stencil, but I used the stencil and the ink that I have here to create that. And it's just, I added some tape on it, so I can tuck something in here if I want. I'm not going to right now, but I'm just going to slide that into there like that. And then I took a sheet of real music torn out of a music book. It says "In the Evening by the Moonlight," and I'm just going to slide that in. It's folded up kind of like a letter, and just tuck that in the pocket there. So that is the side pocket. How to do that for this page. What did I label that? Page 5. So that's page 5. This is 6 and 7, and so the next one's going to be a flat pocket done the same way on page 8. So we'll be doing that next. Scrap of paper, and I'm going to punch 2 circles out of. It had a heart on this side, so I'll cut that down with the little pearls, the heart here. I'm going to glue that in there somewhere. Then I have the stack of letters, so let's get 2 circles. I'm using a 2-inch punch, and I'm going to use this lighter colored side here, or the solid, I guess I should say, solid color. Whoops, there we go. Doesn't want to go in there. Okay, there we go, like that. Okay, we can save that a little bit. We might need that somewhere. So I'm going to ink the edges of these. So I think I'm going to put this one up here at the top. And normally I don't glue all the way sometimes to the edge of a piece, so because I might want to come back along sometime and stick something underneath it. So I got this one down here. And then this heart, kind of like it right there. Here. Maybe kind of like that, kind of make it fit on there. And you've got the stack of books like that. Stack of letters, rather, I should say. Like this. Okay, so that's pretty. It's similar, but not the same as this one. They're a little different look. There's pearls here, and I'm going to put some of my flat back pearls on here. There's 4 of them. So I've got that. Okay, so that's pretty like that. We've got the pearls there. Now we could take a saying. Let's see what we got here. I always just end up with stuff everywhere. I like my love. So I'm going to cut that out. Then that's what's fun about junk journals. You can just, you know, add in stuff. You can come back later and add something to it that you find that's pretty, a flower or something. It doesn't have to be all done at one time. My love. And then this one probably needs something. Forever. I like that. My love, forever. So these pockets are great for tags, and like I said, I'll come back through, you know, as I find stuff I want to put in there, some letters, some postcards. I've got the new companion pack too. It has a beautiful postcard, so that, you know, I can add that in to these pockets. But I want to go ahead in this video here and show you decorating and getting everything finished with the pockets and stuff like that. So that's really pretty right there. It's really simple, and it's got room for tags and stuff in there. So now we're ready to move on to the next one. So I got ahead of myself because while I was doing this pocket, I was thinking, I want to show them how to use a stencil to add stuff in, and then I totally forgot to do that. So this is one of my favorite stencils. This is a Tim Holtz. Any kind of stencil you might have that has the like coffee stain rings. If you don't have that, then use a circle of something in your ink, like the lid to something. Make your own rings. Maybe use a coffee cup. I'm just going to put this down here at the bottom on this page right here, and I just take my brush and my ink. So just take your brush and the ink and go along your stencil or whatever you're using. Like I said, if you have a lid or something that you want to use to do this, and it just adds a little bit of stain there. Of course, if you put something in the pocket, it's going to cover it up. But that's how you do that. So for this next page, we're going to keep it real simple. For now, I'm going to leave this one blank, unless I come across another little pocket I'm going to put on there, which I may. But I have taken this sheet from the collection and cut it down to 4.5 by still the 8.5, but I folded it a 1/2 inch, maybe a little more, here at the top. You can use a scoreboard or you can just fold it. And I'm going to ink it a little bit on the edges. What I'm doing is making a flap here with this pattern piece to go over this ruled page, so like a secret place to write some journaling if you want to in there. So we get that inked up. And then I'm also going to ink up this tab from the collection that I fussy cut out. And we're going to be gluing that. And I have a little piece of ivory lace and a button. And then I have this Dream and Roses cutout that I fussy cut out with the scissors. This is also from the collection, Dream and Roses. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to glue this onto the top of the page. So it's just on that 1/2 inch piece here, we're just going to put the glue. Very simple to do. You can do this anywhere you want to in your book. I'm just going to turn it and line it up here at the top, the fold along the top edge of the page, and center it. I'm just eyeballing it right there. I'm going to lift this up and burnish it. So see, with the lace on there, it's still very pretty. The script's kind of upside down, but you don't really notice it that much. So burnish that. So now you have your journaling spot there. Turn this back around. We're going to take this tab, and I'm going to put glue on both sides of it. This way will show that we can lift up our pattern, our piece here. I'm just going to center this. Kind of get it on straight, but center that. Burnish it down both sides. And then I'm going to take this little bit of lace and I'm going to glue it along the top edge of the tab. Put quite a bit of glue here. Touch that down. Try to keep it straight. It's kind of an elasticy lace that has some elastic, so I have to kind of make it stay straight. So push that down. And then the button can go right in the center of the lace. Just a simple touch with some glue to glue a button on. Sometimes I have to put extra on there, and sometimes I clip it down to hold it. But anyway, there's that. And then the Dream and Roses, I think I want to put it up here at the top. About right there. In there with the roses. So Dream and Roses. So there's that page. Real simple. It just lifts up and you can see your journaling. You see paper clips for the other side of what I have planned. So that is how you do that page. It's real quick and real simple and real easy. Okay, so for this next page here, I have paper clipped several photos that I think I will use. And a window frame from, I think it's Tim Holtz, could be a Prima. I just dug around in my stash looking for it's a chipboard window frame, any kind of frame you've got, or if you needed to, you could make a window. It doesn't have any plastic in it. I'm not going to put any in it because I can see the picture better without it. So I have everything paper clipped down. So I knew that I wanted it on this page, but I really don't know exactly what I'm going to do on this page. So I have here this little scrap that had some journaling that I could use here for a pocket. I was thinking I want to turn it down some maybe, and then I think I'm going to do a turn down the corner a little bit right here and just press that down in the corner. So it's a little square scrap of paper from the collection. It's about 2 3/4 by 3, whatever size you might have. And I am going to ink the edges a little bit where I folded it, and then I'm going to lift up these and ink the edges of the one that folds down over it, and then all the other edges too. Okay, so then this, I'm going to glue this triangle fold down, just a dollop of glue, and I'm gonna have to dig out some more buttons, but I've got this one little button here. I'm just gonna glue it on like it's holding that down right there. Okay, now then it's going to be let's do a tuck spot, which would be here on this side and in the bottom. So the side opposite of the fold, we put glue, and then across the bottom. And then I'm just going to kind of lay it down in here like that and let that dry. And I think, where's my stencil? I'm going to put some splatters right here on the ruled part, so like that, just a few, maybe, I don't know. I like this big splatter up here. I'm going to do that, just see what it looks like. And you just pick up whatever droplets come with it around it. So then we have that splatter up there, and I'm going to ink around it some, kind of blend it in a little bit. Okay, now we have that. Now then for the pictures and the window frame. So the window frame, I'm going to ink it too, see if it takes some of the brown ink because it's gray. Like that. And then my picture, this is my parents, a year, I think it's a year after they got married. And I'm going to make it so that they show in that window frame like they're outside. So I'm going to trim off, where's my big scissors? I'm going to trim off a little from the top and a little from the left side so it's not sticking out of my frame. So I can position it a little better. A little bit off the bottom. So don't worry, it's not the original photo, it's just a copy that I made. So that, like that. So now I'm going to put glue around the edges of the photo. And then I'm going to glue that frame on there, lining it up. So my dad's on this left panel and my mom is in the right one. Bring it down where I trimmed it. Okay. Yeah, I like that. That looks cool. I like that a lot. Okay, so I have a photo of him. Photo there. So it's going to cover up some of that, but that's okay. I'm going to glue this one down, and you can see there that copy of that photo is glued to the some of the parchment cardstock. So I'm going to just glue that right there. And then the window one's going to go over that, kind of there. Let's do that right there. All right, and then I have a photo of just my mom that I can tuck in there. Or do I want to glue it? Maybe I wanted it to go under this one. Let's see here. Yeah. So I'm going to glue it underneath that frame a little bit. So don't be afraid to go to your vintage photos and, you know, find them and make copies to use in your junk journal. It really personalizes your junk journal. I'm going to have to hold that down, let that dry. Okay. Then I had these two smaller ones of them. And I thought I have this little tiny Tim Holtz paper clip, and I'm clipping the two together here at the top. And I was just going to tuck that in that pocket like that. Okay, so we have that, and of course my splatter there is covered up, but It's okay. It's okay. I'm going to put some more dots of it up here, maybe lighter ones, like that. Give me some more ink. Just added some dots in there. Okay, so that page is kind of cool like that. I think I need some roses or something in here, but I'm going to wait and see what I find. I have some of the faux washi tape. How does that look? It's got the roses on it. I'm going to make it a tuck spot as well, and I'm going to ink a little bit on the edges. Now remember, on my washi tapes, I did tear the ends to make them look like they were torn rather than cut them with my scissors. So if I put this here, glue on the end, kind of like a little pocket just on the bottom edge, and glue on this other end. Kind of glue it right there. Okay. And then my faux scotch tape. I'm going to have to make some more, but I need to use some of it in here. I'm going to tape it on this side right there. I love how that looks. And I think I'm going to tape this picture up here with it, just like that. Okay, that looks pretty cool. Bring that more over this, maybe this way. It's just a page full of photos. I need something here like a title. With love and kisses. You make my heart smile. I like that one. So I'm going to cut that out. These are really great to have. And I'm excited to know that we've got more collections coming out in the Junk Journal line. And I hope each one of them has titles like this. It'd be great to have. Put that right up there at the top. And I'm going to take my ink and kind of brush over it some to kind of make it not as white. Kind of blend it in there. Okay, I like that page. It's kind of like more of a beige tone. It doesn't have a lot of the color into it, but I still like it. And so the next we'll work on this one over here. So before I move on to this page, I decided to, from the companion pack to fussy cut out these roses here. I think they're beautiful. And because this one's dark, this rose is pretty, but it's dark, and I want to bring this pink in. So I fussy cut these two out. So this one's going to glue over here on top of the washi tape. And I'm going to put it along the bottom edge of the rose and the leaves, and kind of put it right about there. So this part sticks out as part of the pocket. And then this one I'm going to add over here. I just love the pink color. Then maybe we'll see. I'm going to lay that one in there. So it brings out the pink from over there like that. I love that a lot. So this one over here, I do want to make an envelope for this letter. And this is a photo of my aunt and uncle when they got married, and then a photo of him in the military, and a wax seal for the envelope. So I'm going to lay these aside, and then I'm going to decide what I want to make an envelope out of. And I want it to be an actual envelope that we that we don't put masking tape or anything on. And I'm still looking at this photo here. My mom, it's got that white spot on there, place on there. I wanted something on there or saying, make my heart smile, and stories untold, maybe. I'm just going to cut that out and see what that looks like. Like I said, your pages are never always done. You'll want to go back and forth and adding things that you find in your junk journaling, foraging, you know, whether you forage through your own stuff or you go to a antique mall. That's one of my favorite places. I haven't gone in a while. I ought to just get up and go one day. Let's see how this looks here. I'm going to put that there. I kind of like it there. Get an angle like that. And put a little ink on the words, kind of vintage them up. Like, I don't know if that photo there, those photos there are doing it for me or not. I don't know. I'm just going to leave them there for now. We may move those and put something else in there. Okay, so let me find what I want to make my envelope out of, and we'll get that made. Okay, so I could not move on from this page until I did a little bit more. So I took these pictures out. First, I attached them to this piece of scrap paper, which I like better. But I still felt like it was too many pictures. So I took them out. And in my stash, this is just a photocopy. It's some foreign language, can't be read. It's just a photocopy of a letter or document or something. But it's folded up to make like it's old. And I like it tucked in there better, just like that. Okay. Then I had added these, but I wanted something more up here. So I had a scrap off of this piece here of lace, printed lace. So I cut that out and I just glued that right there. And then I had this little scrap, I think it was like an edge of a ribbon or something here. And I glued that there to kind of give some layering. And then I added small gold flat back, like pearls, but they're gold, metallic things I had in my stash right there. And I like that. So this tucks in here. And then I had a square of this image, butterflies on the back. Either one would work. I like this one with this bit on it. I punched a hole in it. I angle punched the top two corners, rounded the two bottom ones. So it's just a piece of scrap of paper. Punched a hole in it and added a bit of pink, because we got the pink color going on here, seam binding ribbon. And then that's going to tuck in right there. And that, now I'm happy with that page. So sometimes you have to change things around a little bit. And I apologize that I didn't do it on camera. It's like I was inspired between breaks. And I'm like, I wonder if that would work. And so I went ahead with that. So definitely now we're going to make an envelope for this page over here. And we may use these pictures here instead of my aunt and uncle. I may move them around to a different spot, because this way I can continue with my parents here on this double spread. This is just a copy. Well, actually, it's the letter written by this uncle, photocopy of it, written to one of his granddaughters, I believe, I presume. So I may still keep that. I don't know. I have to think about it, but I'm going to try to make an envelope. This letter may go somewhere else, but I still want to use an envelope. So the envelopes that I have on the inner centers of these signatures, where are they? right here. I made with the envelope punch board. But then, you know, some of you may not have an envelope punch board. So I want to show you how to make an envelope if you don't have one. So let's move all this out of the way. And I do want to use one of the pieces of the paper. Let me cap off my glue so it doesn't dry out while I'm working on that. So I'm going to find me a piece of the printed paper, and we're going to cut it down so that we can make us an envelope. Okay, so I decided what I needed an envelope for. I needed bigger paper than what we've got. So you need to cut this. You need a 9.5 by 9.5 square. And I didn't want to waste any of my junk journal papers. So I went into my stash and I had a graphic 45, what is this? Flight of Fancy. And I pulled out this one with the pinks. It's got pink and purple in it, but this side has more pink and blue. And I think that's going to look okay. I've already played with it and folded it up, but I'm going to show you how to do it. So you get your 9.5 by 9.5 inch square, and you take your ruler and a pencil, and from point here to the point there, you draw you a line. So I've got me a line right there, and then crosswise another point. Just line it up. The ruler's not quite long enough, but I can see, and I draw another line. So now I have right in the center this X. Okay? And which side we don't want to go? This way or this way? Yeah. So I'm going to fold this, put it this away. I'm going to put the point right at that point, and I'm going to burnish this down really well. And then I bring this, fold this point over to this point and burnish it. Okay, so that's what we have right there. Then I'm going to fold up. I'm going to fold at about, I'm using my grid from where these points are. I'm going to line them up on my grid, and I'm going to fold about an 1.5 inches up from this point. There's 1 and there's a half right there. 1.5 inches. Make sure it's on both sides the same. Fold it up and then burnish that. So you've got this short edge here and here. Okay. Then this point here, I'm going to fold it backwards to match these two angles, to match this point here. And then I fold it under itself and burnish. Now open back your envelope. Take your glue and put glue here on this short side, on each side where the fold is, and then fold it over and burnish to attach the short sides down. Glue may come out. Okay, burnish that. Now we have this envelope like this. We've got this point here. We're going to fold this down. We haven't folded this yet. Matching up the top points here and burnish like that. So that's the envelope like that. Now that side, it's very pretty on that side, but this is the side that's going to be showing in our junk journal. Now we're going to take our little wax seal that we fussy cut out of the paper, and we're going to place it so that it's like this, but we're going to glue it not on the flap but over here. So like halfway, glue about halfway. See that? So you want it to hold the flap down but not glue it down. So then I'll burnish that. And then when this goes in, it will close it shut. And then I will take my letter, my photocopied letter, and I will place it on the envelope. So I have plenty of room there. It's taller than it needed to be, but that's the easiest way to make one without an envelope punch board. And so it's pretty on the inside, and then it's like that. So now we can put it on our page. And this is also to show you a great example that you can mix patterns in your junk journal. It doesn't have to match. So we still have the bit of roses here and over here and the pink color. So I'm going to pull this up and see where I want to glue it down. And I think I'm going to glue it so that it leaves it open at the top and I can have a pocket up there if I want. So glue on the two long sides, across the bottom, this side here. Okay, then I'm going to center it kind of up a ways, all about like that, straight on the bottom. Wipe off any excess glue. I had a cloth here somewhere. And seal that up on the sides and the bottom here. Okay, so now we have that. Now then, did I want these pictures here? So, this picture of my aunt and uncle, got a little clip on it. Do I want them or do I just want my parents? I've got to decide. That one's kind of long. Let's see what these are like. So I could attach that like that. How does that look? And I may use a doily too. I may find me a doily. I could trim, no, I can't trim that photo. I'm still playing. Because the letter is from my uncle. Let's see here. What did I do with my little clip? A little paper clip here. So, I probably should have planned to clip it to the envelope here before I glued. Let me see if I can still get it in there. Yeah. There we go. So then that can go in that part there. How's that? Then when this flips up, nope, that won't work. Nope, nope, nope. How about here? On the flap. Got a picture there, and that goes under. Okay. And then we have this one. Can be like, I'm going to trim this one down a little bit. Off the top, re-ink that edge. I had inked them all like that, and then this ones can go in here, like part of the letter. I'm going to hold this up, and I'm going to glue this top edge here and this corner here. It's going to leave it sticking out over that letter like that. And that can turn underneath there. So that looks kind of cool like that. And what else do we want to put on there? Let me look a minute. Okay, so in this top pocket up here, I'm going to make a tag. And this is a piece of the parchment paper that is 3.5 by 7, and it will fit in there. But I want a decorative top on it, so I'm going to go over to my cutting station, my die cut. I'm going to check my die cut, see what I've got to die cut out the top of this. And then from this Graphic 45 collection of Flight of Fancy, I had a pack of the, now all this I got from Country Craft Creations, and of course it's been in my stash, Flight of Fancy's ephemera assortment. So I pulled out a couple of hummingbirds and a butterfly. So I'm going to see if I'm going to use those. Just kind of just make this one pop a little bit. I'm still going to consider a lace doily. So let me get my, search through my dies and see what I want to, how I want to do the top. So I pulled out my Heartfelt Album Tags and Accents die set. Now this is a very popular die set that was available at Country Craft Creations before Heartfelt Creations went out of business. And several of you have it. For those of you who don't, you're just going to have to find something similar if you want to do a tag like that, or you can just do an angled tag. But anyway, I cut it in my cutter so that just the top cut. So like I put my paper in like this and lined it up and made it as even as possible on the sides. And I didn't cut the bottom because I didn't want it that short. I wanted it long, but I did want this shape at the top. So now I have my tag like that with this one. This is one of my favorite die cuts. And I cut it over there on my machine. And then you can take your corner rounder and round the two bottom corners if you want, or leave them straight. And I am just going to ink a little bit here on the top. Now I'm not putting pattern paper on this tag. I'm just going to leave it as is with some inking on it. I mean, if I want to put something, I could put like a strip of paper across the top maybe. Let me see what it looks like. I just wanted to ink the edge some. And then I'm going to punch a hole. But let me see, I have this piece here. Just a scrap. So this is going to go inside here with that part sticking out. So see, that's all that's sticking out. So I don't think I will. I think I'm just going to leave it for journaling. And I'm going to punch a hole in the center here, like that. If you wanted to put an eyelet in it, you could. And then I'm going to take some more of my pink seam binding ribbon, and I'm just going to thread it through here at the top. And tie it. Now you could thread it through with the loop if you wanted to, but I'm just going to do it like I did the other one, and I just tied it in a knot like that. And then take my scissors and do an angle cut on each end. I don't want it real long. Go this other way, like that. And then I'm going to crinkle it up just a little bit with my fingers, not real wet, just with my natural crinkling up like I did the other one. Just kind of like this. Kind of really pinch it, and then when it relaxes, it will come out like that. So that's going to go in there at the top. I could do this like that. And then I had, oh, let's see what we have. I had a little butterfly. Did I lose it? There it is, a little blue butterfly. Now I could put that on the tag right there. I think that'll be pretty. So I'm just put some glue right here on the corner, kind of on the top, and add that butterfly. Now that's from the Graphic 45, like right there. And we have the there. Now from some trim I had in my stash, I cut out one. It's joined together like lace, and it's white like that. And on this side, I did put some ink on it. So I think I'm going to glue that on here. So quite a bit of glue on the petals here, around the center, out this way. push it right there. A little bit will hang off, and that's okay. I didn't want it over the seal though. Okay, like that. Keep pressing down. Then I had this hummingbird on the flowers, and I thought, well, that would be good to help hold that picture down some. So I'm only going to glue on the hummingbird's beak, a little bit on his head, and along those flowers right there, and glue those off onto the left side right here, leaving that open so that this can be swung up and over, and we can open this up. So like that. I think I'll put this picture up higher. There we go. And then that envelope can so I may glue this down a little bit more right here. Okay. Then I had one more hummingbird, and I kind of liked him up in here over that picture, so I'm just going to glue it down. Like that. Okay, so there's that page. I like that. That shows you what a different paper will look like in there, that you can mix them in. No problem. And now we're going to keep moving on to the next page. So I really like how that looks. And this gives you an idea of how you can use a junk journal. And it is definitely a junk journal with different things, but you can have photos in there with it.